Welcome everyone. A very happy new year to all of you. Welcome to this session of Leader Talks under the NASSCOM Cloud Advocacy Program. I'm very happy to invite Shiva Ganeshan, who is the Global Head of Microsoft Business Unit at TCS. Shiva will walk us through what he is seeing in terms of the cloud native segment. What are the trends and implications of going cloud native? What are the skills required, etc. Before we start the Q&A, I want to give all of you a brief about Shiva's expertise. As the Global Head of Microsoft Business Unit at TCS, Shiva specializes in high value creation possibilities across industries globally, focused specifically on TCS's partnership with Microsoft. He and his team harness the latest innovation and capabilities of Microsoft's products and services to help enterprises navigate complex digital transformations. At the same time, they also leverage leading digital technologies like cloud, analytics and insights, cybersecurity, IoT and automation to deliver Business 4.0 outcomes for their customers. Shiva, welcome and a very happy new year to you.
Pleasure to be here, and I join you in wishing our audience a very happy new year as well.
Thank you, Shiva. To start with, Shiva, I just want to set the context. And can you share some trends of what you're seeing in the cloud native segment? What actually does it mean to go cloud native?
Sure. Thank you very much for a thought-provoking opening question, Diksha. I think cloud native is a very popular phrase doing the rounds these days. And the context of it varies based on the customer that we are working with. There are customers who have already had a historic computing footprint. Sometimes you call it heritage or legacy or different architectures from the past. And then there are customers who are very nascent, are born cloud native. Depending on which end of the spectrum, but one important definition still remains. It is about how deep do you go into the inventory of services that the hyperscaler platform allows you to take advantage of. How do you harness and harvest it effectively so that you can provide truly cutting edge outcomes for the end consumers of a given business? If one is born digitally native, I think you do it rather natively. You do it like a duck takes to water because you don't have any heritage or legacy to migrate into the new world. Whereas if you have an existing infrastructure, then obviously the economics of the migration and a few other factors come into play. And thereby you then calibrate the extent of nativity that you want to take advantage of. One thing remains though, as my definitive answer to your question, which is cloud native allows anybody to take deep advantage of the true capabilities that the cloud provides, much beyond just the infrastructure layer. And that is something for everyone to take advantage of, truly.
So basically here you are saying that it is very important for the enterprise to understand the cloud platform and all that it has to offer for the enterprise.
Very true, absolutely.
Coming to the next question, Shiva, what are the implications of becoming cloud native on enterprises cloud architecture, right? We're saying cloud architecture getting more and more complex. How are enterprises handling such complexities?
Right. So first consideration is that, cloud is truly a heterogeneous distributed computing environment. And once you internalize that from an architectural perspective, it means the sophistication of cloud nativity entails first security. It has to be secure end-to-end or edge to cloud. Second, like I said earlier, it's not just the infrastructure layer. You've got to look at various facets of the software layer as well. So what are the different inventory or the capabilities of the cloud services that the cloud platform provides? And how do you take advantage of it from a software engineering perspective? Thirdly, it's not just software per se. These days it is firmware and hardware. So if you look at the edge, which obviously has an extension into the cloud, how do you take advantage of 5G, IT, OT capabilities, and so on? Then comes data, not necessarily in that order. Data is all pervasive. So how do you harness the power of the data, and how do you weave intelligence into it with the AI, ML, cognitive abilities of the cloud platform? And last but not the least, you also get into the whole agility of the software value chain. So how does software engineering get to be continuous? How does it get to be very fluid? And how do you make sure you actually practice DevOps on a day in, day out basis to render that much more agility to business outcomes? So these are all, very fundamental dimensions of what cloud nativity entails.
That brings me to my next question, Shiva. You spoke about DevOps, you spoke about 5G, you spoke about data analytics, IoT, and cloud, of course, and all the various features of cloud. What are the implications on skills that are required? Any technology you want to implement and grow, skills is at the heart of it, right? So what are some of the skills from a cloud native perspective that you're seeing emerging? And what are some of the challenges that the industry is facing in building these cloud native skills?
Right. That's a very deep question, Diksha. It's a very fantastic question. And it is something one worries about all the time. Because today's knowledge work entails understanding the big picture in totality. And at the same time, having multiple skills along the tool chain that you use to deliver the service. A case in point is the usage of the word full stack developer. Gone are the days when you could say, I know only one programming language or two, somebody else will know something else. It's just not feasible anymore. You got to understand how the UI works, how the business processing works, how the data layer works. You've got to surely understand what zero trust architecture is from a security perspective. And above all, you have to have the knowledge to string it all end to end, to make sure it works well in a holistic way. And not just that, while you're in a knowledge game, you have to understand the industry, the domain, and the business context. What does it mean to the business at the end of the day? So I think today's skills, upskilling, training is all about making sure we have all-round professionals who understand different facets of the cloud inventory when it comes to cloud nativity. They understand their role or job in the scheme of the bigger picture. And lastly, what does it mean from a business perspective and not just from a technology perspective? How difficult or what gives there? Training has to be continuous, learning has to be continuous, because the shelf life of various tools is also very limited these days. So one cannot say that one has learnt it all and there's nothing more to consume. You have to be very nimble, agile, and on the treadmill of acquiring knowledge all the time. End of the day, the space we are all dealing with is a knowledge space, and the currency of that knowledge is extremely fluid. So that's how I would characterize what we need to do from a training perspective.
Well, that was really very interesting to know. You're basically talking about the continuous learning journey that each one of us has to know. It's now a must.
Absolutely.
Again, from a cloud native perspective, Shiva, what are some of the most impactful use cases across industries that you've seen? And what are some of the lessons that you've learned that you are now implementing when you go to new customers?
Right. Let me probably answer it in the reverse order. Some of the lessons, it is very easy to get to the cloud in a hurry and then probably repent a little later about the economics of the move. So I think a well-planned, well-thought-out strategy in terms of what types of workloads, what types of data best fit movement to the cloud, and what business and technology benefits can you ensure from such a move. I think that strategy, planning, architecture, the conceptualization is very, very important rather than just practice lift and shift, which you come to repent later. I would say that is the first lesson. The second is to take advantage of the cloud. I think many a time, if it is viewed through an infrastructural lens, the cloud is then so very limiting in what it can provide. But if you view it as an all-encompassing software medium, where even infrastructure can be treated as software manageable infrastructure, then the power and the tremendous potency of the cloud comes alive. So ignore that at your peril. I would say these are the top two lessons. In terms of harnessing nativity, I think really it is about making sure that the power of data, the power of the cognitive capabilities of the cloud, and the latest state-of-the-art security provisioning that happens from the edge to the cloud. These are all important considerations when it comes to going native. I would also say that it's important to understand that how we get into very granular or fine-grained microservices based or architectures, and have things defined in a very modular way, so that you can balance the different services more cohesively to take care of peak demands and not so peak demands. That's also an important consideration.
Industry perspective, Shiva, do you see any specific industry leveraging cloud native as it should be versus the
When it comes to industries, I would say broadly, in whatever I've seen, all industries are at it, honestly. When you look at the financial services market or retail, CPG, the process industries, manufacturing, life sciences, healthcare, I'm not taking all names, but all of them are very busy foraying into the cloud, trying to see, how they can take advantage of it.
Final question, Shiva, and I know this is very close to your heart, which is on sustainability. What is the role that cloud is playing in achieving sustainability? And this is beyond, like you said, just the cloud migration, which every enterprise sees a lot of cost savings at that level. But beyond that, what is it that cloud is helping in terms of sustainability?
Yeah, that's another great question. Obviously, sustainability and how frugal we are with resources is such an important topic these days. I think from a cloud perspective, it is really about making sure that end of the day, the computational power that we consume is economized. And what I mean by that is the cloud is a very scalable, elastic medium. So I would say from a sustainability perspective, the USP of the cloud platform or the cloud medium is that you don't need to design and provision for worst case, which is peak throughput. You could add capacity on demand. Now, that being one of the key values or USPs of the cloud platform or the cloud medium, the fact that you can scale up and down on demand and you don't need to provision extremes in itself is a huge lever when it comes to practicing sustainability. The second angle is the more cloud native you go and the more you consume the given platform for the purpose for which those services were defined, the lesser overhead you're going to incur in terms of how you go about a different specific software process, if I may. So I think the cloud intrinsically is geared to allow for on-demand provisioning, which in itself is a key lever in terms of practicing sustainability in our field.
Thank you, Shiva, for that. This was a very interesting, very short and very impactful discussion. I got a very good understanding of cloud native, and I look at this space with a lot of interest. Thank you so much, and once again, Happy New Year to you and to your team.
Thank you very much.